New Thought Media Network. We are a global broadcast network of positive music, media, and entertainment, inspiring humanity's evolution along the journey of enlightenment and creating a world of love, peace, empowerment, and prosperity for all. New Thought Media Network. Positively inspiring.
Free my mind, open my heart with the whispers of truth, to live a conscious life, to live a conscious life on the growing edge, on the growing edge.
And now, here's Allie.
Hello and welcome to Growing Edge Live. I'm Allie Benjamin, and it is my great joy to be here today. Each week we gather here at the Growing Edge, the green growing edge of our own becoming, and have conversations with soul-centered individuals, friends of mine, people I hardly know. We have conversations about what they're doing in the world. They're channeling their time, their talent, their energy, their resources into doing good work in the world. And today I have my wonderful friend, my great friend, back for a second conversation. So welcome, Mark Anthony Lord. There he is.
Thank you, Allie. I'm so happy to be here. I just love your opening jingle. Like you're just like your own little show. It's really cool.
Well, I love that too. And when I used to have a pulpit, and I was doing the Satya Center in person, that jingle was made by my music director, Leslie. And so, yeah, I will pass along that you like her jingle that she made for us. Thanks, Leslie. So how are you?
I'm good. I'm really good. Where I am, spring is in the air, and it's like it was a long winter, so feeling all the upliftment of that, and I'm really happy to be with you, Allie. Like I just, we've been together for years, praying, sharing, talking, doing ministry. Like I'm really grateful for your friendship.
Yeah, me too. You have really been a solid presence in my life for many years. Supported me when I was doing pulpit ministry. We worked together every week, I think.
Yeah.
You were helping me grow the congregation and organize and build structure around that. And now you're not doing pulpit ministry you are. You're in Michigan at what's the name of your center?
Yeah, I have a sweet little center. It's Unity. It's a Unity.
Okay.
On the lakeshore. I'm in a little resort town, and it's a small little center, and they're just beautiful people, really, really dedicated to their spiritual path. Like it's a group that's doing the deep work, and that's very fulfilling.
I love that. Yeah. When you can be with a community that are really committed to their own growth and their own path, that's such a blessing.
It really is. I've served some churches along the way that I found out were, and I don't want to make this wrong, but it's just what they were really there sort of like to get their Sunday obligation and then do the social. They were like a social club. And that's definitely a way to be together, but you and I were trained to do the deep work. Like, our training took us to the core of our being, where we found God. So yeah. That's what we like to teach and pass on,
Exactly. Absolutely. Yeah. I miss being a part of a community. Yep. I'm kind of in community with the Salt Lake Center for Spiritual Living, which is fairly close, but I don't go every Sunday anymore. There's other things that I enjoy that bring me that feeling of connection to life. And I think these days it's more through my art that I find that deep connection. And then in small groups, I work with a women's group. We have a women's group once a month, and that's really a beautiful thing. So let's talk a little bit. I know that we did our past conversation. It's probably a year and a half ago now. And so if anyone's interested in knowing Mark's origin story, you can go back and find that earlier episode and hear about how he got started, what his spiritual roots were. But most recently, oh, there's your website, and
Oh my
our
God,
producer Michael's got your website up there.
look at the picture.
That's
That's
like
like that's from college.
well, you haven't changed much. You've just got way more beautiful in my eyes. We were talking just before the show. We did a wardrobe coordination this morning. We're both wearing black, and we both got silver hair. Yours is way more silver than mine, though, and you're looking very, very handsome. Very handsome. Anyway, people can go to your website and find you there and hear about you and all the offerings you have and hear about your story. I love that you've got your origin story there on your website. That's really cool.
Yeah.
So I want to talk a little bit today about what you're doing currently, but I want to ask you about that transition that you made from being a part of, I don't want to say a mega church, but a really large community. And you talked so fondly of being in a smaller community that really loves to go deep and do the work. What was it that shifted you away from wanting that bigger church experience and leadership role to what you're doing now?
Yeah, well, it's an interesting question. I don't know if I've been permanently shifted away from wanting at least the big stages. I'm a double Leo. So
and you're a 7, Enneagram 7.
I'm a 7 on the Enneagram. So, and I'm a projector in human design. So what I do is guide and teach and preach. So, I'm always excited for those opportunities. But, Allie, what happened during the time when I did have that big center in Chicago that I founded, and it was hundreds and hundreds of people coming on Sundays, and sometimes up to 1,000. It was so big. And what happened was the work, the demands and the expectations, and the way we were trained was that we had to be everything. We had to do the administration, and we had to be the inspiration, and we had to do the counseling, and we had to raise the funds, and we had I was wearing so many hats, and so many of them I was incompetent at. I just wasn't good at what I was doing, but I just said yes because I'm supposed to, and I didn't have the coaching in time from someone that could say, Mark, this isn't sustainable. This isn't sustainable. You've got to do less and do less and do less as the organization grows. You've got to really niche into your expertise and build a team. I wasn't taught that. And by the time that revelation came, it was just too late. I was hurting. I for as big as the presentation looked and as much as the image was like, woo, like inside, Allie, I was crumbling. I was in a lot of pain. I was in a lot of fear. Addictive behaviors started coming back because God, they helped, and I just got to a point where I broke. I just broke. And I just literally was like, I got to go. I got to go. So it was ultimately good. But, hindsight gives me all of this wisdom during it. Oh man, it's hard to have so much that looks so good to the world when inside you feel so incompetent.
Mm-hmm. What did you do to heal? What helped you through that time?
I walked away and I walked I had to walk the kind of the lonely road, the hero's journey. I needed to just be with myself and be with God and, move through the 5 stages of grief. I think those 5 stages of grief show up for every area of our life, not just when we lose someone, but, when in times of transition. And so I had to do that. And what sustains me is an unquenchable, how do I say this? Like my yearning to know God, my thirst to keep growing and awakening, it never has turned off. It turned on at 24 and it has never turned off. And that's just what sustained me. I went to India. I went to, I just kept doing what came to me to keep growing. And eventually, just the pieces started coming together in a new way.
Mm-hmm. If you now you mentioned that you're maybe not done with that big stage experience. So if you were to step back into a situation similar to that, what would you do differently in order to really stay in alignment with your authenticity now that you've had a lot of experience? How many years has it been
Since I've been away from
Bodhi?
Bodhi, I left in 2015. So coming up on this would be at the end in November, it'll be 11 years, 10
Wow.
years, 10 years.
Yeah. So what would you do differently, and how would you structure it so that you could remain true to your heart?
I don't think there's a paradigm of spiritual centers that exist that is functional. And every once in a while, I look on the listserv, I look at open pulpits, and the requirements for ministers are exactly as impossible as they were 20, 30, 40 years ago. The culture of spiritual centers has not evolved. It lists literally, got to be good at business, got to be able to lead, got to build connections in the community, got to network. And I look at it and it just instantly breaks my heart. And by the way, they're offering you $50,000 full time in 2025. No insurance, no retirement plan. It's abusive in a way, for those who have really come to put self-care first. Maybe someone else can do it. Maybe someone else is multi-talented and wants to be consumed by their work. But you and I know, like, there's not enough hours in the day to accomplish, So honestly, like, I don't think I can. I think what I do now online, where I create my programs and I create followings, and these are the things that are the closest to helping me remain in my niche, do what I do well, and hire people that can do the other parts.
Yeah, I hear a lot. I'm a part of different groups, and I see a lot of people stepping down from pulpit ministry, but their ministry is still alive within them, and they still want to serve, and they want to make a difference.
Yeah.
I think of myself. I question sometimes, how can I make an impact? How can I feel that energy of my ministry when I'm at home behind a camera, a phone, a computer, doing virtual things? And so I'd like to talk a little bit about, how is it that people can still find their way when things are changing so much. Traditional churches and new thought centers, they're still there, that some are thriving, some have folded, like mine has, and like Bodhi has. So what would you say to ministers like you and I, and those that are still trying to hold on but don't know which way to go as they move forward?
Yeah, well, it's such a great question, Allie. I love that our conversation's going here, but I do want to challenge the one comment. Are there really any that are thriving?
Well, I just thought I'd throw that out there in case there was one.
I guess that's our definition of thriving, because my definition of thriving is the minister is paid exceptionally well as a leader and as a CEO. They have health insurance, they have retirement, they have a good living, like they're making that to me, and everyone has different definitions of thriving. Someone else's definition of thriving may be no compensation at all. I don't know. So, in my definition, I don't think there are any thriving centers out there right now. And I think that's okay. You see, I think it's fine for things to die when it's time for them to die, or, burn down and transform into what's new. And like it or not, the new spiritual conversation is happening. There's people like Joe Dispenza, who teaches the principles that we were taught so succinctly, so powerfully, has 1 million+ followers, does retreats for $5,000 a person, and 1,000 people show up. So it is out there and it is working, but there's these little ministers like you and me who were trained in the old paradigm, and it's just like that whole paradigm is gone. The industrial age is over, and we were trained in the industrial age. This is the information age. And how, so the question really is, Allie, who's going to really cross that bridge? Who's going to be so transformed in their design that they can message in the information age? I work my ass off. I work my ass off with learning social media, with learning marketing to school trade, with creating ebooks, with creating programming, and that doesn't work. And I try again, and it's a new one, and try again. Fortunately, I love that. Like, I just love it. If something doesn't work, I lay it down. I pray, and I do what's next. That to me is how it's going to be. Like, only the ones who are deeply, deeply committed to changing themselves are going to make it into the new era, the new way. What I see is so many people, they're just, they're tired. It's hard. It's too hard. And so they're trying to hold on to the little life preserver in the gigantic ocean. And that's cool. Like, God bless every one of them, right? And I hope everyone finds their peace and their joy. Everyone find their peace and their joy. But for those who want to stay vital and vibrant, and I think that's the question you're asking, it's work. It is the real roll up your sleeves and put those hours in, and put more hours in, and be vulnerable. Like you pointed out, what's on my website, my personal life. I see so many ministers that don't present their personal life. They keep it behind closed doors, and they present the image of an organization. Doesn't sell. I try to tell people, I've rung the bell as loud as I can. You got to tell your story. If you're an alcoholic, tell your story, be an alcoholic. If you were abused in a marriage, man, tell that story. If you're on marriage number 5, tell that story. Like, what people want is human. What people want is the addicts that came through. They want the real guts of people. And we were trained to be an image, weren't we?
Yeah. Yeah, and it's hard to keep that image up, and
it's so hard.
And then when you do have an image, then there's half the room that doesn't like that image.
Yeah, I'm no image. I am so authentic and messed up and everything, and I love God with my whole being, and that's kind of working for me.
Yeah, well, it's really obvious that you do love God with your whole being.
Man.
I mean, it's such on the tip of your tongue. I mean, as you were supporting me back in the day, it was just so there with everything that you shared with me to support me in doing what I'm doing. And I see it in the books that you've written, in the many, many times I've seen you at a retreat giving a keynote. You are just so honest and authentic and in tune and on fire with your passion, with your divinity, that it's obvious. And I think that's your that magnetizing thing that you have, that people are drawn to, is that you're on fire with God and you're so authentic and you're putting yourself out there in ways that people can relate and connect. We've got one of our viewers saying, agreed, transparency and authenticity is a new way in my life, and it works in business too. Thank you, Shay.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And, it's interesting because I miss belonging. I miss community, like you mentioned, and I try to belong to the organization that we were trained in, but they're in this old paradigm. I'm in the new paradigm, and I go back and I sort of try to interact, and I'm not even heard. I'm not even acknowledged. Like, I am the rebel at this point that just is sort of, I don't know. I can't explain it, but it's painful not to fit in, but I've got to keep going where I'm called and pulled.
Absolutely. And, I think having a unique ministry or is something that I know the affiliated New Thought Network, Anton, has really supported me with. is being able to create my ministry my way.
Yeah.
And so it almost feels like, the misfit toys, and the island of the misfit toys or something.
So
And
totally.
that's where I belong, because there's no freaking way that I would get into a box and stay there.
Yeah.
I am driven to do my ministry my way. By the way, I had no idea we were going to be going down this road. I had other thoughts of where our conversation might go, but obviously...
I want to say I'm Herbie the dentist from Rudolph on the Island with this hair, with my swooping hair. I'm Herbie the dentist.
Oh, that's funny. Yeah.
I am on that island of misfit toys with you, and I think that is our superpower. That's why authenticity is required, because our superpower is what we deemed as that which made us misfits, that which made us not feel like we belonged or like there was something wrong with us. That's the very portal.
Exactly. Yeah, we, being such a creative as you are and as I am, it would be absolutely depressing to fit into a box, I mean, I've always felt like nobody could tell me how to live my life or to be the me that I want to be. And I think that New Thought in general does have that vibe of, thinking your own way, thinking a new thought, being yourself. And so I think that the industrialized old school world that we came out of and that our ministries were born into, it's the environment isn't going to feed people like you and me. Yeah.
And I think, and that's such a key point, because it's the analogy of cats versus dogs. The churches of traditional, of Christian, of the rules, they're growing because they're more the dogs. You tell them what to do, you tell them what to say, you tell them when to stay. They love the rules. You and I are people who go, don't tell me what to do. And that's what we're attracting. We're attracting people who are wild cats now. And so we're trying to form community with people that don't want to be following rules. It's not an easy, like you got to pause and go, how do we form a community with people that live like us?
Yeah, exactly. Talking about community, I've recently went to a couple of those hands-off rallies, and Bernie Sanders and AOC came to Salt Lake, and I went to see them. And there was huge community there. And so I'm wondering, 20,000 people inside a building with 5,000 people waiting outside in line. And so there are communities, not like we're talking about here with a church community or a spiritual center community. But I'm getting a sense that community is out there, but it's based on something else. It's based on values. It's based on common sense. And I'm not sure where I'm going with that. But what do you think of the communities these days? People that are joining together because of a cause or because of a... does that somehow fit into what we're talking about here?
Oh, you're putting me on the spot in every turn here. Look,
and I'm not talking politics here. I'm talking about
you sort of are
standing.
Yeah, but I'm okay with it. Like, here's the deal to that question. This is what I want. What it appears to me from the highest truth of there's God and only God, the dream just keeps recycling. 4 years ago, it was the Republicans who are mad and forming and marching and doing their thing. Now the ball's been tossed over here and they're mad and they're marching and they're doing their thing. And everyone's got to do what they've got to do. And I appreciate that. But I just sit in the spot. But how does that game end? How do we not just toss the ball every 4 years back and forth, where now this one's stirred up and so righteous, and now this one's stirred up and so righteous? And I just see a slinky happening. Now, I know there's good people in there. when I pray on it, I think of like, well, there was Martin Luther King. Like, where would we be without someone who was totally imperfect and yet gave his life to helping people become free? So I know those people exist, but I do find myself, I want to be a part of the highest solution, which ends the dream of suffering. My job is to help people. This is what I know. And I'm Course in Miracles, as you know, Allie. The world is saved inside our mind, period. The world is saved when we heal our minds of the split between love and fear. And the more people who are willing to do that, the better the world will be. The great seduction is that it's out there. People get turned on. They don't have to face themselves. They carry their signs. This is horrible. They come home and they hate their neighbor next door. They don't connect the dots. They don't realize that if they would actually practice loving their spouse, they would be healing the world. So I get nervous when these big tsunami waves come in and people ride them and they get activated and they go out there to solve a problem that will never be solved until we do the inner work. That is what we were taught, Ellie. That's what's true. So I stay there and I watch people go out and carry that. I watch people ride, I get spiritual leaders get taken over by the wave. And I just hope, I hope that whatever they're doing is for good and that they can make a shift. That's beautiful. That's where I get a little like confused. And all I can say is, for me, I'm doing the inner work nonstop. I think I'm healing the world.
You are.
I won't sleep if I'm upset with my neighbor. I won't sleep if something happened with me and my husband, and I've got to pray myself into forgiveness first. Like that's how I believe we really change something. So I don't know. Does that make sense?
Absolutely. Yeah. And I align with you completely on that, and even though I went to the protests and I went to the rally, I didn't go there with anger or, I definitely went because I'm curious about people and I'm curious about why people are upset or hurting. And so I wanted to be a part of a community and feel that. And I did. And I don't think it's going to be something I want to do all the time or anything like that. But I definitely want to be in the world and have my finger on the pulse of what's happening. Yeah.
I just got to interrupt you because I honor you for that. And I want you there because I know you're there knowing everyone gets freedom. I know that you are one of the people that says none of us are free until all of us are. So you belong in that group. In my opinion, thank you for doing that. I really mean that. And I get that now. I know there are people going there in that consciousness. I just don't feel drawn.
Yeah, no, I get it. Well, why don't we take a quick break? We'll be back and we're going to talk more about what you're doing now and that deeper stuff, because that's really where my heart is too.
So fun.
Okay, we'll see you in a minute.
Please help us say thank you to our organizational sponsors, including the Hefferland Foundation, Affiliated New Thought Network, International New Thought Alliance, Science of Mind Archives and Library Foundation, Center for Spiritual Living Denver, Center for Spiritual Living Midtown, New Thought Philadelphia, Planned Happiness Institute, Summit Center for Spiritual Living, One Heart Retreats, Center for Spiritual Living on the Lake, Unity Kitchener, Unity Spiritual Center Ottawa, Om Center for Spiritual Living, Satya Center, Begin Within Ministries, Center for Spiritual Living North Jersey, Unity of Savannah, and the Center for Spiritual Living Seattle, as well as all of our individual donors. Thank you for being part of the New Thought Media Network. Please like, share, and subscribe. New Thought Media Network, positively inspiring.
free my mind, open my heart with the whispers of truth, to live a conscious life, to live a conscious life on the growing edge, on the growing edge.
And now, here's Allie.
I'm back with my friend Mark Anthony. Hello again. So let's talk about what you're doing now, because I know that the work you're doing in the world now is really touching the lives of specific people that are looking for a specific something. And you always emphasize that God is within. And so I want to explore a little bit about the work you're doing now and how people can connect with that inner presence, their divinity. And so maybe they're not so flustered by what's going on in the world and seeking to make the change out there, but understand that it starts within.
Sure. Well, it's one of the, I'm in one of those moments where it's like, what I've been called to do has been right in front of my eyes for 15 years. Why, and it's become so obvious. Even though I've had people say it to me, it's like I couldn't quite grasp it. But what I really, to summarize what I'm about, and I'm looking for people that want this, is a Bible quote: "Seek ye first the kingdom of heaven, the kingdom of God, and all these things shall be added unto you." To me, that mandate, that direction was given thousands and thousands and thousands of years ago, and it is as clear as can be. Until we seek first the power of what we are and heal that relationship, not just learn about it and try to use it. And I think there's a lot of people that are doing that. The law of attraction, all the abundance training, all of the web vision boards, all those things. It's like learning the laws of God, the laws of abundance, and then figuring out how to use them. It's a good first step, but even that is broken because it's trying to use something that you haven't healed deeply your relationship to. So that's really been what my life is about. I think I may have spoken before, but real quickly, I was in treatment center, 24 years old, and my counselor said to me, "Mark, if you don't get a new God and if you don't learn how to forgive, you're going to die." And those words pierced my soul. And my entire life has been about that since 24 years old, getting a new God, getting a deeper God. And today, for what nurtures me and what I want to help people do is build the personal relationship with God and the principled relationship with God. And it is a balance of both for me that brings it alive in such a deeper way. And I have a personal relationship with God. I journal with God. God talks back to me. It's this loving presence that just freaking adores me. I'm like, I'll take it. It feeds my soul. It nourishes me. It makes me feel connected, belonging. And from there, I focus on God as principle, God as law, but coming from my identification of love first. So, it's things and it's things we've learned, but for me, they walk hand in hand in a more deeply personal way. And the way that I'm using them, and again, this program came to me in 1999, using the chakras as portals, the energetic body. The chakras are the energetic spine. Each one represents a gate to God. And when we take the time to approach it from that point of view, breathing into that gate, removing the lies and the brokenness that lives in each one, and establishing a reconnection. When those 7 are lined up and glowing, you are that. You have sought the kingdom of God. You become that. And then it's a magical game. These things are added or they're not. They come, they go. The attachment is minimal at most. Like there's just so much there. And that's what it's about for me. And that's what the Wake Up from the Matrix is about. Is helping people. And so each time we gather, I'll be using those portals, those gateways, to help people wake up from the dream of separation, wake up from the dream of seeking out there in the world, which isn't nothing. We're all seduced to believe me. I seek in the world and then I remember. But it's really getting to the core of that one Bible message that I think has everything in it.
Mm-hmm. So you talk about the 7 chakras and the what might be blocking us from really having that clean, clear, crisp, always on connection with the divine. So what are some of the, and you don't have to give me all 7, but what are some of the things that you see people struggle with the most as far as blocking them? You mentioned forgiveness, so I'm imagining is that maybe heart chakra? I don't know.
It is. It is. Good call. You're on it. Yeah, forgiveness is heart chakra, and we don't do that practice until the first 3 are established. So the root chakra is belonging, safety, and security in God. We are obsessed with, like we talked about, belonging. We're seeking belonging in the world. We're seeking our safety and security. We're building walls. We're getting our locks. We're getting our guns. Like, the illusion that we can find safety and security in the world is ridiculous. And yet people are doing it more and more and more intense and more intense. So the work in the root chakra is the affirmation. The clear mantra is, I belong to God. I deeply matter to God. I am safe and secure in God. That's where it lies. That's where it is. And that's where you can trust that you are safe and secure. Now, this is your eternal being. Your bodies are going to come and go. The things of this world are going to come and go. That's not where God placed our safety and security. God placed our safety and security in our identity, capital I. And so we must re-anchor in that truth, feel the confidence and the security that comes from within you. Then the miracle happens. Then you move through the world in that vibration. And guess what happens? The world changes. You're the one that is safe and secure in the world.
Yeah. And I'm sure a lot of people struggle with that one. I know, as you were talking about it, my mother left me when I was 5 years old. Mm-hmm. And, I always think of the chakras kind of loosely aligning with the, 7 years. Yes. And so, when someone has been abandoned at a young age, then there is that deep longing to belong and to connect, to feel like you're belonging, connected to the earth. And, so there's particular things that we become obsessed with when we don't have that. Oh, yes. And so I can see that would be an amazing aha for someone to have.
Well, and that's the thing, Allie, to get to the root of, and these are just our stories. They're symbols that every break in our belonging in childhood is the gift, because it's the portal back to God. For me, a little gay boy, I was totally unsafe in the world. I mean, I did not belong, and I was terrified of every day. So I had a real strong wound in this root chakra, like you did. When you have abandonment at under 6 years old, that is a sacred wound. That is a sacred wound, but it's also a sacred doorway.
Exactly.
Because we will seek and seek and seek in this world like a maniac, lose every single time, play every ego game we can. Oh my God, pretend, lie, put an image up. I did all of it because belonging, I needed it to feel okay, but yeah, I never got it fully. But the healing comes through that very insight that you have. And then we move through that story. We let that story be purified. We let it be removed from our vibration, from our consciousness as our identity.
Right.
That's the difference, Yes. The story will become the story you tell to help others, because it will no longer be what you are.
Exactly. Yeah. Beautiful. And so what's the sacral chakra?
Well, sexual power, the passion. Oh my God, all of us, like passion, power, sexual joy, sexual energy used for more than just the act itself. The healing here is huge because there's so much shame. There's so much guilt in this one, and like this one's a tough one, Allie, because people need to really get to the lustful hunger, the sexual fantasies, and realize that none of these are wrong. None of these is God judging or holding against us. I mean, we live in a messed up sexual world that is just all about purity, man, woman, missionary style. I mean, all of that lives in our vibration. And yet we live in a world of sexual abuse, rape, incest, like pornography addiction. We live in such a sexually obsessed and broken society going, let's just try to be better. Let's, this is an opposite one, because this is like really, bring out that dominatrix, bring out that BDSM part, bring out that lustful, hungry thing and merge it with God. And then turn your passion to God. That's the other part, Allie. The second chakra is passion. We are afraid to turn our full passion to God. That's scary. We live in a culture that's like, oh no, I got to be cynical. I can't be like those woo-woo people. But this sacral chakra is passion, and it is passion for relationship with God. I had to work on this one myself because I have it, and yet I was feeling my resistance to be fully passionate,
So, yeah, and we could have a whole conversation about all of that. So this that you're talking about, as far as something people can engage with you through this journey, wake up from the matrix, right? Yeah. So tell us a little bit. Obviously, we've talked about the two chakras, but I'm imagining that your offering will help people to understand all things that are blocking them from being completely connected to their divinity or knowing themselves in that way.
Absolutely. Yeah. I mean, just go to my website and register for the Wake Up from the Matrix gatherings. And the benefit is, if you join, you get invited to each one, and you can attend or not attend, but you also get access to the replays. So at the Wake Up from the Matrix, as I mentioned, I'll always be using these portals for different conversations. I'm going to start this program. May 5th is my first gathering on this design, and I'll start moving us through the chakras one at a time. So the first couple months are just going to be focused on getting related to all of those. Then we'll learn how to pop back and forth and use them for current situations, for financial challenges, for relationship issues, which one serves us best. So it'll always be inside of this conversation. And again, the Matrix, as we know from the movie, is simply waking up from the dream that we're separate from this.
Yeah. The conditioning.
The conditioning. The patterns.
The patterns, the conditioning, our personality that we've created in order to, get those things our ego thinks it wants. And beautiful. So that starts on May 5th, and people can find out about that on your website.
Yeah.
Now, I was also seeing, and we've talked about this as well, you're also doing healing sessions with people. Yeah. And you have come out of the closet as a channeler.
I have.
And I want to talk about that. It's very brave, and I'm cheering you on. And I absolutely know, just from the work that I've done with you, that you have an amazing, clear channel to higher wisdom, to truth, to what needs to be heard by your client. And so tell us about that. How did you, I know it's always been alive in you, this deeper connection and knowing. What was it that allowed you to come out onto the stage, so to speak, saying this?
Well, yeah. So, and I think I may have told this in our last gathering, but just to touch base, it was back in 1999 where I first clearly heard this distinct voice that was like, that's not mine. Ultimately, it is us. But you know what I mean? It begins with a separate kind of an energy, and it blew my mind, and it scared me, and I shoved it under the rug. Now, it was always finding its way out through all of my talks. I remember in my first talk that I did in homiletics, the teacher just said, I have nothing to tell you, that was brilliant. And I was like, well, what just happened? What do you mean? I don't even know what I'm doing. Like, I was like, that wasn't helpful to me, but it was looking back. Oh, this thing would take over and it would do something through me. It's a combination of plant medicine that helped open me up to the gift, the psychic abilities, which we all have. It was a mix of that. It was Course in Miracles that also speaks to how our psychic abilities will become stronger and stronger as we deepen in our awakening and our practice. So it's those things added up together that really helped. But it was also just the decision. Like, I'm not and to be this kind of a helper, healer, counselor. Like, I'm not, if you're looking for someone to just hold your hand and be patient and just let you walk gently through, that's a beautiful way to do a path. I'm not that kind of guy. I'm the guy you want if you just want straight up, this is what I'm seeing, this is what I'm hearing, this is what we do. I'm more the bulldozer. I'm the wrecking ball.
You're the disruptor.
I'm the disruptor. I am a disruptor. And people need disruption now. Now, I can help you mend it and walk away so you're not limping or limping a little. But once I embrace that and I just realize, like, I'm not interested in what you think about your problem. I'm interested in what this power is saying to you about your truth and how to heal quickly. So that one, as I say yes to that, I just get more and more people from around the world just like finding me and booking sessions. And I'm glad to give you, I do a half off price for people that, you know, like this opportunity. I'm glad to share the link if anyone's interested.
Yeah, go ahead and tell us about it so we can share it. We'll put it in the notes of the show.
Yeah, I will do that. So that's what I do. And I love it. And I've done well over 100 sessions, and the results, it gets better, it gets easier. You start to trust it more. It's like anything we do, we're a little wobbly in the beginning, but the more you practice, the more clear. Now I'm understanding images. Like when a particular image comes in, I know what it's pointing to. You know, I had to learn the language because I hear words, but I also see images. Like I'll see example, like whenever I see a young child under 5 or 6 years old slamming a bedroom door, there's sexual abuse in the household. I just know it instantly because that's the symbol that comes to me. And we go that deep. We go into what happened, what was the environment, because that forms your healing journey.
So obviously you must give people a heads up when you're doing a session that you're going to be that frank and that open and that honest.
Absolutely.
And so do you have an example of someone that you've worked with, obviously not breaking any anonymity here, but a shift that happened or occurred that was profound for them, that changed everything?
Yeah, one of my really wonderful ones, like, and I do get, I begin looking for connection. As soon as there's a yes in something, like the one I did last week, immediately I'm seeing someone riding a horse. And before I'd be like, riding a horse, what the hell do I do with that? How do I say like I'm a fool? Like that's what's happening inside sometimes. So I say to her, like, hey man, I'm starting with this image of, I've just seen you on a horse. Like there's horses here. She just got back from Patagonia where they went on a horse riding journey. I have none of that information, and I'm not looking for magic. I'm looking for connection. And to me, that's like, thank you, Holy Spirit, we're connected. I often get images like that. So with that acknowledged, there was one session where I'm beginning to feel the energy of loved ones that have laid down the physical body and are now in their all expanded self. And I was working with a woman, and her father energy was there. And she says to me, ask him what he's doing. And I was like, what he's doing? Like, is anyone like, I didn't even like, I'm like, oh shit. Okay. So I'm like, to this energy, I'm like, she wants to know what you're doing. And I hear, tell her I'm golfing. Now I really think I'm crazy. But I say to her, well, you may think this is crazy, but he says he's golfing. She starts crying because her mother never let him golf because it cost too much money. And all he wanted to do was golf. Now, I don't know anything of that story, but this is what comes to me. And the gift is she has a moment of connection that heals because she realizes that she is connected to her father, that her father is with her, that he used the exact imagery that would make her know that all is well. So when those things happen, they're pretty phenomenal. They're pretty ridiculous. That's the superficial connection. The real work is we get into the wound. And in the wound, there's a point where I hear the Holy Spirit say, it's time for a guided healing experience. I read those words. It's time for a guided healing experience. Please close your eyes. I have no clue where I'm going. I don't know my next word. I don't know what the guided healing experience is going to be. I just follow and I repeat what I hear. Now, I do have guided experiences that are repeating themselves because there are themes in them that we share. So I'm getting familiar with those. So it's a whole other world of learning and play. It's so vast and amazing.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and that's a definitely a deeper experience than standing on stage and giving a Sunday message or what have you. And not to take away from that, because that's also a wonderful experience to have, whether you're the one on the stage going into that space, like you said, something takes over and you're channeling in a roundabout, well, maybe a direct way. And then in the audience, when they're sitting there listening, something happens and opens. That's deep too. But in this very specific, doing deep personal healing work and having those kind of funny little superficial, he's golfing, or, what might be just the thing to bring her, to have her pay attention.
Exactly.
So that she can make that connection inside herself. There's more going on here.
Yeah. And it's interesting because both of us were trained under Michael Beckwith, who was a phenomenal channel. So we witnessed someone literally turn it on and channel, stream energy. His words would go so fast I couldn't follow them. I would just close my eyes and be in the energy. So I'm so grateful that is, like, I still consider him my minister.
Yeah, me too.
My heart. So, but I want to share one more thing quickly. And that is, it just left my head. What was, oh, dang it.
It will come around.
It was about the sessions. It was, yeah.
So you will say particular things that come into your awareness that help people get into that zone. So they're paying attention. Yeah. So they're open, they're receptive.
Yeah.
And it's in that sacred container that something happens. Yeah. That they are able to see beyond their story or get a greater sense.
Yeah. And I just got the thing that I got, and I love this. I'll pass this on to you, Allie, because I think you could use it too if it's interesting. What I now see is the difference between probability and potential. And it looks like walking into a candy store where all of your probabilities are at eye level and you can grab them. Potential is up on the upper shelf where you need an extra reach. Mm-hmm. And this is so helpful because when people are saying, what am I here for? What is my future? I literally see it either on the potential or on the probability or on the potential. And I say to them, look, this is only feedback, but that's potential. If you're going for potential, you got to work. Mm-hmm. If you're going for potential, you're a 400-pound person who wants to weigh 150. Can you do it? Absolutely. Will it require everything? Yes. Most people don't want potential when they, you know what I mean? And so I feel like I help people discern, is that a dream? Is that a fantasy that you really want? Or do you want to really let that go and stay, well, what are your probabilities for your world? I don't know. That it's just been coming through me. And I love the distinction because I think we train people sometimes to believe in those potentials, which are true. But to be an Olympic swimmer, it's your whole life. Mm. Do you want it that bad? It makes people pause and relate to it. And if they do, if they're like, I absolutely do, then great. You know that you can grab that potential and you can become it. It's going to require everything and it'll be worth it. it will always be worth it. But I just like that distinction,
Yeah, that's awesome. I always end the show with this question, and we're right here at the end of the hour. And I usually frame it up as we all know the song, what the world needs now is love, sweet love. And so what I'm asking you today is, what does the world need now? What's on that top shelf? What is not just the possibilities, but what's that potential that the world needs now here at the Growing Edge?
That people wake up to the revelation that every projection that they see in the world has to be healed in their own mind. Every problem they see in the world will only be healed when they heal it in themselves. They are seeing the problem because it lives in their unconscious mind, in the collective field. That's the potential for us to really heal the world, is when enough of us stop pointing out there and take ownership of everything. I take ownership of everything I see and everything I hear, and I forgive it. Mm-hmm. I don't blame, I don't shame. I just, it's in my world. This is mine. That's, I think, the thing.
That's beautiful. Thank you, my friend. I really enjoyed this conversation. And I know that some of the things we talked about will be an invitation, a doorway into their own connection with the divine. And I hope that if you're watching, that you've enjoyed this too, and you go to Mark's website and check out what he's doing, and maybe we'll meet together in this waking up from the matrix thing.
I love it. Please join me.
All right. Take care. Thanks a lot, Mark. And thank you, everyone, for being here today. I'll see you next week. Lots of love and infinite blessings to you. Bye-bye.
Free my mind, open my heart with the whispers of truth, to live a conscious life, to live a conscious life on the growing edge.